Morning, morning, morning. Welcome to the Texas Real Estate Show, and here we are. We're going to talk about some interesting points this morning, predominantly new home builders. So let's roll that tape. And hey, first of all, Ashley, before we roll the tape, how you doing, Miss Kay?
I am good.
You living the dream?
I am. I got some tea and I had a breakfast sandwich this morning.
What type of tea did you have?
Some green tea.
Green tea. You just like being healthy.
I'm trying to have less coffee.
Anyway, many of you have said always be, what I've basically said in the past is please, please, please be very wary of new home builders. Always get yourself a realtor that has some experience with new home builders. The salespeople that you see at the various new home developments, they represent the builder. They don't represent you. You need somebody that represents you. So first of all, we're going to start off with an issue that happened with Perry Homes. It was a lady that moved from New Mexico. She had some medical issues, and she moved from New Mexico into the Texas area, so she could, and also the Houston area, so she could basically access some medical care from the Texas Medical Center in central Houston. But so they sold everything in New Mexico, bought a house here, and then the following happened. Roll that tape, Kate.
Really comes back to all of our employees.
I don't know if it was alcohol, drugs, I don't know what it was, but he was wasted.
We're looking for those people that fit here.
And he says, "Oh, Lisa, you'll like when the grease pops you in the nipples."
It's a culture of respect.
And we are so proud of that.
Perry Homes knew from the day we made an offer on the house I was a transplant patient. They knew.
Lisa Liberi moved to the Houston area because she had to. It was a requirement for her planned double organ transplant. But her move, it's only made her life or death situation far worse. If they called you right now for a transplant.
I can't go. I cannot go.
Because of Perry Homes.
Because of Perry Homes. They're killing me, literally. All of the events they noted in the mold report have mold.
Lisa took us for a tour through her brand new $500,000 home up in Willis, Texas. It was meant to be a safe place to recover from surgery.
I'm a type 1 diabetic since 3 months of age. So I've gone almost 60 years, no problems. Then I started passing out all the time.
Doctors at the Texas Medical Center told Lisa she needed new kidneys and a new pancreas. But to be on the transplant waiting list, she had to move from New Mexico, where she lived.
Our realtor took us out to Woodland Hills. Beautiful area. Absolutely beautiful.
Lisa and her husband fell in love with this brand new home from Perry Homes.
It was within driving distance for my husband and within 2 hours that I needed to be at the transplant center.
They signed a contract and started packing. There were problems found with the home during inspection, but they were assured they had all been fixed.
We closed escrow April 4th. We moved into the house April 6th. Nothing had been fixed.
But the biggest problems with this house were still to come.
First, it started with ovens going out. So we were without ovens for a long time. The AC went on the blink, and that began in May.
Lisa and Brent were assigned Perry Homes warranty manager Ryan Stapp to be their go-to guy for any issues with the house. But the list of what was wrong inside was growing, and there was already warning signs of the unnecessary health problems yet to come.
Finally, I texted Ryan and I said, "Help. Our vents are raining." Water was coming out of our vents, our condensation. There was so much humidity in our house. The windows were all fogging up.
Lisa was even documenting the readings on her thermostat. Humidity up to 74%. The EPA says indoor humidity levels should be between 30 and 50%. Yet Lisa says when a contractor told her she had air leaks, that the AC units were improperly installed and needed to be redone, Perry Homes didn't want to do the repairs.
I was shocked.
Do you know why?
Money.
On August 15th, Lisa's experience with Perry Homes would only get worse.
They refused to fix it. My in-laws were here, and my mother-in-law and I were playing cards at the table, sweating. Vents were dripping. Ryan Stapp calls me at just before 10 p.m. I said, it's 85 degrees in my house. I need this fixed. And he says, oh, Lisa, you can make bacon and eggs. You'll like when the grease pops you in the nipples.
Excuse me?
I said, Ryan, don't talk to me like that. Don't ever talk to me like that. He goes, oh, Lisa, you know you're my MILF. I didn't know what that was. My mother-in-law and I looked at each other going, what did you just call me and why?
MILF is short for Mother I'd Like to Fuck.
I don't know if it was alcohol, drugs, I don't know what it was, but he was wasted.
So we
Okay, first of all, this is what I want to say. No customer or client should ever be treated like this, obviously, from any builder, client and such like. But one of the comments that I've got to make with this, you cannot blame the realtor in this situation at all. I think it's basically a product. I have got one question, whether the realtor had recommended to Lisa that they got you can do a new home inspection where basically it's in three parts. They inspect the slab pour, they inspect the framing, and then they do a final inspection. When they do the framing, it's the framing and the inside, the electrics and the plumbing. And then they also do a final inspection, which is everything, you know, with the roof and everything as a whole. It's a little bit more money than a regular inspection, but I always recommend to my clients that when we buy a new home that we do this. You'd be surprised what we found in the past with new homes that we built. Sometimes we've even turned around to the builders and says, we don't want this home because of something on the inspection report, but can we change it and buy another house in the same development? And we've done that. And it really is worth, for a new builder inspection at the moment, I think it's probably about 650 to 850 bucks. And it's worth every penny. Another comment I just want to make is on the AC. What happens is because, especially in Houston, because of the heat, you've got the heat in the daytime, so the homes are getting warmer and warmer and warmer and warmer, and then it heats up in the daytime. And then basically what happens is when it cools down at nighttime, that's why you get the condensation on the windows. So you get water inside the home. And it's to a degree, it's actually more important that you get the humidity out of the home than what you do, you know, to lowering the temperature. But the humidity needs to be pulled out. We recently visited a multi-family property, and we thought it was a really good property, and we believed it had. We actually got a mold inspector in there to go take a look at the property, and we was told by the other agent, oh, you can just clean it off with Clorox. You can't. It has to be treated. It totally has to be treated by a mold remediation expert. So if you've got mold in your house and it's over 100 square feet, which is a 10 foot by 10 foot, if it's under 10 foot by 10 foot, we call it discoloration. If it's over 10 foot by 10 foot, then it's mold. But basically, if you've got mold in your air vents, which is a place which is common for mold, because that's what basically happens is some people don't want to turn on their air conditioning in the daytime, and it just creates a no flow area in the vents. If there's in the vents, there's a leak in the vent, then you know that can reduce the pressure that pushes the air through the vent. So you know, this lady's really got her back to the wall, and I couldn't agree with her more. Is Perry Homes are killing her because she's been pushed into a position. So carry on rolling that tape, Kay.
just had to hear an explanation from that guy.
I was accused of saying some things, which I never did. I got released from my position because of the accusation.
Stapp denies being impaired that night too, but 8 days after Lisa complained about him, guess what? Stapp was charged in Montgomery County with drunk driving, and it was his third offense, an automatic felony. Maybe it's just a coincidence. But it's not a coincidence that with high humidity in a home, something else is likely going to happen. Mold. The Libris brought in an expert.
Our air samples show elevated levels of mold.
In one room, it was particularly high.
So that was the master bathroom. It was 128,000.
How bad is that?
That's bad. That's very bad.
When you heard that,
My mouth dropped, my jaw dropped. And the first thought to my mind was, Perry did this. Perry could have prevented this if they would have just fixed the AC correctly the first time.
Lisa says she developed itchy eyes, difficulty breathing. Even her dogs got sick. But her husband threw out the last Perry Homes official who had come to their home. It was Chris Hawkins, Perry Homes Vice President of Construction.
Oh, he starts talking. He talked over my husband and I. He treated us like we were poop on a sidewalk. We were stupid. If you tried to point something out, oh, I don't see it. I mean, he just was really nasty.
Finally, I'm like, well, let's just leave then. And I walked him out.
It was the first time in life I ever felt discriminated against. For being disabled, for being on the transplant list, for being older. He really made me feel worthless.
What makes me excited about leading Perry Homes today is that I get the opportunity to carry on my father's legacy.
Kathy Perry Britton took charge of Perry Homes when her dad died back in 2013. Business Report says she's doubled her family-owned company revenues in 9 short years and is now personally worth $2.6 billion. Perry Homes reportedly closed on more than 4,000 homes last year. It's not the biggest home builder by far, but it's one of the fastest growing, and that may be the problem here.
Whoever's watching, make sure you do like a preliminary walkthrough on your home.
Mold problems in new construction in the Houston area are increasingly common. Home builders are cranking out homes that may look pretty but have dangers lurking inside.
While they're building them so fast, there are construction defects that cause mold growth. Poor attic ventilation, air infiltration from the attic and through the perimeter walls.
What's going through your mind? Because you need this transplant.
I'm thinking they're trying to kill me. I try not to cry.
In October, Lisa filed a housing discrimination complaint with the government, alleging Perry Homes failed to make reasonable accommodations for her disability, that they subjected her to sexual harassment, and then retaliated against her for reporting the sexual harassment. She'd already come to Dolcefino Media to ask us to help her fight the injustice.
We put everything we had into this house, so it's either come to y'all and hopefully to get some help, or walk away from the house and lose everything. And I shouldn't have to do that because of a shoddy company.
But Lisa had a message for the owner of Perry Homes.
I would say shame on you. You go out telling the world how perfect you are and how Perry Homes stands by its warranty and gives an excellent product. And here I am, and you're killing me.
Perry Homes ignored repeated requests for an explanation, but they got our message. At first, the home builder had only offered Lisa and her husband $10,000 for repairs, but in recent days, they've offered to buy the house back, and they've offered another $5,100 if she'll sign a non-disclosure agreement. Guess they're worried her neighbors might start asking questions too.
I'd love to just go wring somebody's neck because it's my wife's life at stake. And that tears me apart.
Lisa says she's sicker now than she was back in New Mexico. Asthma, high blood pressure, ear infections. Symptoms of mold toxicity, she says, that can take a year to clear up.
There's too much damage to my body. I won't survive on dialysis. I'm scared, and not to mention the fact I'm allergic to the mold. That's not helping either.
She's also not currently eligible for that transplant because she has no healthy environment to go back to. Her immune system, after an operation like that, would be totally compromised.
I'm not going to be able to get transplanted. This is my life. This is life or death for me.
First of all, I'd like to thank Wayne for bringing this to our attention. Wayne Dolcefino. I think it's an incredible article. I think it's sort of, we've said this on previous shows, haven't we, about home builders. You know, they feel that they can manipulate people. I think there needs to be more standards for builders to build. A lot of builders don't like all the red tape, as they call it, and it scares me that if you get rid of that red tape, that more instances like this are going to happen. You know, and I really feel I feel something needs to be done from a legislative level in relation to the warranties for new homes, because new homes are being built at such a high rate in a lot of areas that there needs to be some sort of enforcement in relation to, because if not, you'll just get, you know, and Lisa in this video shouldn't have to go through this. And it's one thing that wasn't mentioned on this video, to be perfectly honest, was the mental anguish that she's gone through, because it's not just her life that she's talking about, and that's big enough, but the mental anguish that she's had to go through, and the things that, you know, she's been called. I mean, it's eye-opening, isn't it, Kay?
Yes, and I was going to say, one of the things that's happening is that our newly elected president is supposed to put less regulations on home builders, so that scares me. That's part of his housing plan.
Well, it worries me as well. There's a lot of things he wants to deregulate, and indirectly he will hurt people by deregulating things, because what happens is all that does is put more profits into the corporate side of America. I have no problem putting more money into the corporate side of America, as long as things are passed down basically, you know, through to the middle class and the working class. Because if we put more money into the lower end of the spectrum, then they start to buy things. They'll buy more houses, and then hopefully, you know, home builders will make a better product. The whole thing that capitalism is built round, at the top of the curve of capitalism, is competition. But what happens is now these companies come along, they build their business, then all of a sudden they sell to the competitor, and then it's the consumer that suffers. And that's what I really don't like. But you know, I'm very surprised at Perry Homes. In the past we've had some good experiences with Perry Homes, to be perfectly honest. But if the truth be known, I'm very surprised that, you know, that they've done this to somebody. I think their customer service should have been better. The most important thing with customer service is that you listen to people, you take on board what they say, and then you provide a solution. They didn't do that in this case. And to me, I don't think they would have been treating Lisa in a special way because of her health problems. I think they should treat all home buyers, you know, they should treat all home buyers the same, regardless of disabilities and everything else. Because at the end of the day, if people buy a $500,000 house, one, you expect a value of $500,000 for the value of the home, and the other thing you expect, to be perfectly honest, is if you're proud of the house that you live in and you feel it's got that value, what are you going to do? You're going to go out there and tell your friends and say, you know, I bought this great house from Perry Homes. So really, Perry Homes have shot themselves in the foot. It's like myself. You know, I've got clients out there that basically recommend clients to me. Why? Because they feel that I give them a value. So it really is, you know, I really think Perry Homes are shooting themselves in the foot. So please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Please post your comments in the chat. We'd love to hear from you on this topic. I think it's all one way in relation to, you know, Perry Homes should have done a better job on the building. They should have done a better job on the follow-up. They should have done a better job on the customer service issues. That's my personal opinion. If you think different, then, you know, subscribe, like, turn on notifications, and give us and post your comments in the chat whether you agree or disagree. Okay, next topic. What we got, Kay? How to choose a home builder according to the experts. We'd found an article from the National Association of Home Builders, which is basically, we thought, as we was sort of talking about Perry Homes, we'd discuss this, and these are points that we would recommend that you do if you buy a new home. I don't recommend to everybody to buy a new home. A lot of people think, well, if I buy a new home, I've got less problems. As you can see with leases issues, that is not necessarily the case. In Texas, the only thing that I'll think, the biggest thing with buying a new home that you could possibly avoid is foundation problems. Because if you buy an older house, then you're always susceptible to foundation problems. But there's other problems in new homes that, you know, you can get because the houses are built poorly, and unfortunately you can't see in between the walls. Now, there are ways to see in between the walls, and that's through an inspector, because they have the devices and the mechanics where they can put moisture testers in the walls. They have infrared sensors, and they can see what's going on, whether electrical wires are overheating, whether electric panels are overheating. So let's just get going on this list of how to choose a home builder, you know, according to the experts. So the first thing is there. Can you go to the first part? Okay.
This is the first part.
Okay. Research your home builders in your area. Once you've thought about the type of house that you want, you can create a list of your potential builders. There are several ways to start building a list. You can go to the local builders association. We have the Greater Houston Home Builders Association, or the Houston Home Builders Association. And basically, if you're using an experienced realtor, they'll normally know the good builders in an area within your price range. There are some home builders that I would never ever recommend to some of my clients. For example, they might take shortcuts on the doors, on the bedroom doors. They may take shortcuts on even the downstairs doors, just like Lisa's shown in the one video. You know, there's some builders that basically I personally wouldn't recommend. I would still take you and show you the homes so you know the good from the bad. By doing that, also what it's doing, it's the clients that I represent, it's letting them know that perhaps I know what I'm on about, you know, and that's another reason for doing it. And then the other one is visit and tour the new homes in your community. So I would possibly, when I say your community, I would basically recommend that you go out and view some of the older communities, maybe within 3 to 4 years. And even if it's not a home, if it's not a brand new home, but if it's a home that's been lived in at the time, I would make an appointment for you to go in and see that house. And especially if it's the same builder, and I would go in and see how that house has lived up to the wear and tear, if you want to, within maybe a 4 or a 5 year period. It's a tip that I've always tried to use. So we can go and we might look at 3 or 4 houses. that's maybe built, say a new home builder down the street is building a new community, and they've built a particular community. What I would recommend is we go and look at maybe 3 or 4 houses in the previous community, and then it would probably be about 3 to 5 years for them to complete a subdivision. And what I would do is book some appointments, look at the houses, see what wear and tear there are, see how that various houses, as I said, have lasted, and then we can go look at the new houses. Because as I said before, you can't really see in between walls, but you can get some idea of, you know, how the various new homes have lived up to, you know, just normal wear and tear. Find out if the home has a reputable, sorry about that. Find out if the home builder has a reputable business. Well, there are ways how realtors can do that. There's ways how the public can do that. You can go to the Better Business Bureau. You can go, you know, onto Google and look at Google reviews. My problem with Google reviews are people go to Google reviews normally just to put bad stuff in. You can get competition home builders that just go in and put bad stuff in about different builders. It's quite funny at the end of the year when we do all our books for our business, and we have just under 70 agents. But what we do is we basically have a list of builders, the majority, like the most new home builders that we've sold to, and I'll be honest with you, it's normally the same group of builders every year, and that's not through direction or steering or whatever, but it's basically based on the location of the builder, and it's also based on what we consider good quality and reputable builders. We do have sometimes we have events with builders that we can ask questions to different builders and they can explain. You know, we might even have some of our people that we work with, some of our partners who might be architects, might be contractors, who go out there and actually ask them some questions. Sometimes we'll even do that. Ask about contracts, pricing, and payment schedules. This is where I feel an experienced real estate agent comes in. One of the most important parts when a real estate agent comes together is, one, to negotiate the contract on behalf of the client's behalf, pricing the house, and the payment schedules. Yes, when the payments are due, in other words, the option period. There are some builders that will push you, they won't refund the money on an escrow. And what they will basically do, they will always try to distract you from using a realtor, and basically they will give you more money as to updates. In other words, they'll give you an updated kitchen. They'll help you with your closing costs. If you use a particular title company, if you use a particular lender. Indirectly, people don't give you anything for free. I always recommend to people, use a realtor. You know, you can negotiate their commission, but at the same time, a good realtor will save you money. Although you're paying them a commission, they will save you money, because builders on the whole do not give you your escrow money back if you back out of the contract. And also, you don't use what they call a Texas Real Estate Commission contract. What you will actually do is use a builder's contract, which is written by the builder's attorney. So everything is in the builder's favor. Inquire about home builders' business practices. That I would suggest you do is go to the local home builders association. You can normally find out a lot about home builders' business practices by asking different people. I'll be honest with you, I've even gone to the point at times when we've made an offer on a property and it's gone under contract, and some of the houses have, in the local area, they might have people that are living in them, and I've even gone and just asked them, how have you been treated? Even before we've made an offer on the property, how has the new home builder, have they helped you? Have you found they've been fair to you? Because they really are they're the clients of the home builder. And then this is the one that really gets to my heart, is learn about the builder's level of customer service. And that is what I think is important. Find out how long the warranties are, and also to what degree the warranties are. For example, there's some builders, what they'll do is they'll warranty a roof for maybe 10 years, and they'll warranty the shingle, but they won't warranty the labour. They'll only warranty it for 12 months. So, there's different things that always need to be checked. The other part that you have to remember is, on new construction, there is not what we commonly call in the industry a seller's disclosure. So it doesn't have to disclose anything about the property as a whole, any faults with the property. So for example, when the property was being built, if all of a sudden they was putting a PEC water pipe in and that broke and there was water damage behind a wall, all they would basically have to do is repair the pipe, put a new pipe in, a PEX pipe, which is a plastic pipe, and then let it dry and put new sheetrock in. So that's why you really have to be careful. I think the warranty should be overlooked. The warranty is always negotiable on a house. I've negotiated some extra points over the years in relation to what it varies on the design of the house, but there's some things that I felt have needed to be to be put in. I would always recommend that even with a local home builder that you get a home warranty and see if you can get the builder to pay for it, because then all the appliances are covered. Next point.
It's also, the customer service is very important when it comes to just seeing what happened with the woman that we just watched the video on.
Right, it is.
So, they get
But
called
it's
those
accessibility
names.
as well. It's the customer service part is one of the important parts with customer service is accessibility.
Yes, but also I think the customer service, she should know, the customer service agent should not have, called her drunk or answered drunk and obviously said inappropriate things to her. So.
Yeah, that was very unprofessional. The next thing is ask about a home builder's experience. Well, that's something that we've always done. If you're using an experienced agent, they will have some knowledge, I'm sure, of a home builder's experience and different developments that they built. We do keep records of different areas where the builders have built different subdivisions, and that helps us. But also, it's just like it said on the video previously that Perry Homes build 4,000 homes a year. That's about an average, I think, to build that many homes in 1 year. So anyway, let's learn about the builder's industry, education and involvement. That's a question that you need to ask directly to the builder. It's a very difficult question because they'll all tell you that they're the best, in the industry. There's a lot of builders industry qualifications that are not required, but they are voluntary. So you'll get some builders that basically have got, it's just a voluntary membership, or it's like the Greater Home Builders Association. It's more of a resource for that builder where, they'll get in contact with vendors, get in contact with different people that supply different things to the industry. Always ask home builders for references and contact them. That's the important part to me. I go one step further, to be perfectly honest. What I normally do before we write any contracts, if there's any homes in the area, what I'll normally do is, if we've got a house that we want to put an offer on, what I normally do before we put the offer on, I will normally go to that area, normally on a weekend, if there's any other home builders there, they might be out there washing their cars, and I basically just explain who I am, and that we're looking at moving some new residents in the area, and I will just ask them about their experiences of, the builder. Some residents are pretty, they don't want to give too much information away, but I have had a couple of instances where they've turned around and said they've had problems with the builder. And then what I will do is basically go back to my clients and tell them, well, look, there has been some people out there that have had problems with this particular builder. And that's why I say to you that there are a few builders in the area that build very, very low cost, where there's problems with the doors. There was one builder where I asked one client, they'd been in the house for 4 weeks and they were starting to have problems with the roof. So, not all builders are equal, just like not all real estate agents are equal. What's the next topic? Do we have any?
That's all we have.
That's it.
Yeah.
But basically, I would, educate yourself. It's all about education and communication. If, as I said, if I get involved, I try to do as much education and learning about the builder, about the location. Obviously, flooding is important. Is the new area of flooding? What's happened in Houston over the years is they've built so much new homes all over Houston, and they've increased the roads, so there's more concrete. That now what's happened is that's why Houston has become more prone to flooding, because there's no way for the rain to get into the ground, because rain cannot get through concrete, so it can't get through the roads. So that's why now in Houston and the surrounding area, they are building more retention ponds, wider bayous, and it's very important. There was one new home that we was going to buy, and as we went through the inspection period, and I think I spoke about this before on the podcast, the road was above the home, and all there was 2 little ditches down the side. We decided not to buy that house and move to and buy another house which was a little bit higher, and the reason was because we was worried that in the event that there was a flood, there was a retention pond behind the house, that the water, because of the grading, I don't think we did the inspection, and the inspector actually said that the grading wasn't enough. So basically what happened was, I spoke to the inspector with the client, and they said, no, we'll just buy a house where it's a little bit higher, because there was a retention pond behind the house, and they was concerned that water was going to go inside the house and through the house and literally outside the back door. So, they could have put in wider and bigger French drains, but it's still a risk, because you really don't know when the next hurricane's coming or the next tropical storm. So please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. That's it for this week, I think, isn't it, Kay?
That's all we have.
And basically, please tune in next week. We'd like to see you again. We will be going live. We will be doing our regular podcast next week. So, please like, subscribe, turn notifications, and we'd like to. So, see you next week. Ta-da for now, and stay